it's Traveling Tanya here, and as you can probably tell, I am not at an exotic destination today. I am actually in my bedroom. But I wanted to come to you today because I am planning a pretty exciting trip, and I thought before I get started on that trip, I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I pack for a week in Europe. So if you're like me, then you love to pack. It's fun to anticipate the trip, to think about what's in store, and to make sure that you have just the right things that are going to make that trip fun and successful. But I know there's a lot of other people out there who do not love packing. In fact, they often dread it, they wait till the last minute, and they just rather not pack at all. So I'm hoping that today, with some of the tips and ideas I share, that it will make packing a little bit easier, a little bit more enjoyable for all of you. And so I just want to share these tips with you. I will plan to do a blog post about packing for a week in Europe, but I think a video is a really great way for you to see exactly what I put in my bag and how I go about the packing process. So let's get started. So first of all, there are a few things that I do before I start putting anything in my suitcase. And I will admit, I actually start packing for a week-long trip about a week or two before the trip even starts, which I know for some that might seem a little extreme, but I like to obviously be prepared, and I like to be intentional about what I'm bringing with me. So packing way ahead helps me to do that and make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Of course, at the last minute, there'll be things I'll think about and make sure that I add to my bags. But so I am just under 2 weeks out of our trip to Europe. We will be traveling to Paris, and then to Lucerne, Switzerland, and then into Germany. So we have 7 nights, 8 full days. So again, packing about a week or two ahead of time makes a lot of sense for me. 3 things I like to do before I start the packing process. First is laundry. That is definitely one of my least favorite chores, but something that of course is pretty important. So I like to get that laundry done and make sure that anything I want to pack is clean and ready to go. It's not too fun when you're trying to pack and you realize that half the things that you need to pack are dirty, and then you have to do laundry in the middle of that process. So I've got the laundry done. The other thing I like to do is, of course, check the weather, where we'll be going. So on my iPhone, I have the 3 major cities that we'll be going to, and I've been checking those regularly. And of course, at 2 weeks out, I don't know exactly what the weather will be on the days that we'll be there, but I've been looking at the 10-day forecast. And so for each of those cities we'll be at, I know that over the last 10 days, the lowest low is around 39 degrees and the highest high temps are around 69. So to me, that's perfect travel weather. It's not going to be too cold and it's not going to be too hot, so just right. As we get closer to our trip, of course, I'll be looking at the exact forecast for our time to see any storms, those kind of things that might be happening, and any other things I might need to pack to prepare for those. But I've got a good idea at least of what the temperature will be. So that's another thing I do before I pack. And then the other really important thing when you're flying is to check with your airline and know exactly what the bag requirements are. So you want to know, how many carry-ons you get, what kind of check bags, any extra fees there might be. You can really spoil the start of your trip by getting to the airport and finding out you've got a lot of extra fees with the bags that you decide to bring. So having a good idea what's expected with your bags is a great first step. So now that I've got those 3 kind of beginning steps out of the way, I want to offer just a few tips when it comes to packing. Of course, the expert packer knows how to pack light. But what does packing light really mean? Well, it's a little bit different for everybody. For me, it's not about being an extreme minimalist. As you can see, I've got quite a few things out here, but it is about being very intentional. So everything I'm going to put in my suitcase is something that I really know I want to have on my trip. So I really like to follow the packing or the travel guru, Rick Steves, one of my favorite travel guides. And one thing that he always recommends is pack what you know you're going to need for your trip, not what you might need. Unless you're going to a really remote area, chances are you can find just about anything and pick it up or buy it along the way. So think about a week's worth of time, what are the things that I'm definitely going to need on that trip, and then be very intentional about packing those. You also need to think about what can you manage carrying. So how big of a suitcase do you want to carry? How big of a carry-on do you want to be lugging, especially if you're going to have some quick changes in the airport, rushing to your connecting flight, and especially in Europe, you will likely be using some public transportation, needing to get from the train to your hotel and walking a few blocks, walking on those lovely cobblestone streets. So really keeping in mind what you want to carry, because again, you don't want to get your trip started off on the wrong foot, being miserable because you're lugging all these bags of stuff that you really don't need. So keeping all those things in mind, of course, is great. And then the other reason that I really like to focus on packing light is I know this bag is going to be quite a bit fuller when I return because I love to buy souvenirs. So I want to leave plenty of room in my bags for those great souvenirs I'm going to pick up along the way. So let's talk about exactly what bags I'm going to bring. So first off, of course, is a purse. Most women are going to bring a purse. So this is my everyday purse. This is a big purse, and it's kind of a bottomless pit. I have all kinds of stuff in there. Half the time I can't find what's in there anyway, but I don't need all this stuff. So I definitely do not want to bring my big everyday purse. So what I like to do is start out with a small purse. I haven't decided for sure which of these purses I'm going to bring, but either one of these would be great. So the reason I like these purses, as you can see, I can easily slip this over my shoulder, so I'm pretty hands-free. It's not going to be too heavy, and as I'm walking through busy touristy areas especially, I can really protect my valuables this way. If I have my coat over top of this, I can put my arm over it. You do have to worry in some touristy areas about pickpockets and things like that, so this really allows me to be flexible and not have too much. I also like to start with an empty purse as opposed to this big purse that has too much stuff in it. Starting with an empty purse lets me be really intentional and only put the things in here that I know I'm going to need. So definitely a purse is something that I'll be taking. Next will be my carry-on bag, and if you can believe it, this is my carry-on bag. I picked up this lovely little travel bag, and I just love it because, of course, it's very small and compact when I need it to be, but when I need a bag to carry stuff, this turns into this fabulous backpack. So I'll zip it up and show this to you. The other thing that's great about this kind of serves two purposes. This will be my carry-on on the plane, but it can also be a day bag. So if I'm traveling in Europe and need to carry more than just what might go in my purse, this can be my backpack. It's made of this great material, so even if it's rainy out, that might be something good to have so my valuables aren't getting wet. So this will be my carry-on bag, so I'll show you how I use that in a bit. And then, of course, my main suitcase. So I think it's super important these days to have a good wheeling suitcase with a handle that extends out. So I can easily get this around the airport nicely. This bag, the size, should be sufficient for a carry-on bag. If I don't overstuff it. Now, if I overstuff this, it will not fit in the appropriate size for a carry-on, but my hope is that I can take this to the airport and not even have to check it. I really like when I travel overseas, especially to take my luggage with me on the airplane rather than check it. That way I know it's going to get to my final destination. Sometimes when I get to the actual gate, they may say it's a really full flight and they'll check it for me there, but when they do that, I get it right when I get off the plane, so I still get to avoid baggage claim and ensure that it actually gets there with me. So this is going to be a great bag for me to get through the airport with. And as many bags do, it has that extra zipper piece, so when I come back with all those souvenirs, it will expand a bit. And more than likely on the way back, I will be checking this bag because it will be overstuffed with all my goodies. So these are the three different bags that are suitcases and things that I plan to take with me. If you're traveling with someone else, then of course you can coordinate these kind of things with them. My husband is going on this trip as well. He more than likely is taking a little bit larger of a suitcase, which is great. He will definitely check that bag. We can kind of coordinate and make sure that we have plenty of things on the flight with us that we'll need. That way, if his bag doesn't make it to our final destination, of course, we'll be set. So we'll coordinate a little bit of our packing that way. So we've got our bags figured out what we're going to take. Now, let me show you one of the other really important things I do before I even start putting anything in the suitcase is I decide what I'm going to wear on the plane. So I like to, of course, be comfortable on the plane, but I also like to look a bit stylish. So I think I've decided on this nice top here, super comfortable and easy to wear. I've even got my underwear and things laid out here. And then a nice pair of jeans. So this is gonna be super comfortable on the flight. For this trip, we're actually leaving around 6 p.m. is our flight time in the evening, and we'll arrive in Paris at 8:30 in the morning, and we are going to hit the ground running. So what my plan is to get my outfit on shortly before we actually leave for the airport. That way I'm fresh and ready to go. And if I need to wear this outfit the whole first day in Paris, you know, I haven't had it on that long. I'll likely put an extra shirt or something in my carry-on so that I might be able to at least change my shirt if I feel like it. But chances are we're not going to be able to check in our hotel right when we get there, but we want to be ready to go. So I also at the same time like to decide what shoes I'm going to wear. So I've decided I'd really like a pair of sturdy boots to take on this trip. I don't want to have to use valuable space in my suitcase for these kind of clunky boots, so I'd rather wear them on the plane. So these are the shoes I'll wear. They come off and on pretty easy, so not too hard to get through security, and they're very comfortable as well. And then, of course, I'm going to need a jacket. This is a nice jacket that I'd like to take with on the trip. Again, fairly stylish. It's also really comfortable. Airplanes can get chilly, so having a few layers is a good idea. And it's also my bulkiest jacket, so again, I'd rather not take up that space in my suitcase with my bulkier jacket. So, to me, it's important to know what you're going to wear on the plane because obviously I don't want to pack those things, and then I can take my space in my suitcase for the other things. So, let's get started actually putting some things together now. I'm not going to pack my purse just yet. Of course, I need a lot of last minute items in there. But I will show you a little bit of what I might put in my carry-on. And one other tip to having a small purse, oftentimes I will actually slide my purse into my carry-on. And that way, if they're being real sticklers for a number of carry-ons and they want to count this and this, then I don't have an extra item with my purse. So I might just stick that in there. Other things I'm going to put in my carry-on, I like to have all my travel documents put together in a folder. Obviously that's something I'm still working on as we're getting closer to our trip. It's great to have all your travel documents, your information about your flights, your hotels, any excursions you have booked. Have paper copies of those just in case. Of course you're going to have all that saved on your smartphone and in your email. It's good to have a couple places where you have those, but have that printout just in case your electronics are failing you when you get there. Of course, a book to read on the plane is a great idea for me. It will help me get some sleep because we need to get some rest on that plane, so we're ready to go when we get there. I also have a travel journal. Of course, I like to document our travels. This makes a great keepsake, and you'll notice that I'm not packing a laptop on this trip, so I will not be blogging during the trip. That will come afterwards, but I do want to take some time and just write some notes and remember all the great things we saw. I will, on the trip, be on social media, so if you want to know exactly how our trip's going as we're out there, then definitely follow me there. Of course, other travel documents that you're going to need, of course, your passport is super important. So this will be probably with me at all times on my trip, so I'll likely put that in my purse, keep that really close by. So that will go in there, and then I have this lovely little kit that holds all my electronic gadgets. And in here, some of these things I'll be packing later on as we get a little bit closer, but I've got my charger for my Fitbit. I'm going to be taking a power source so that while we're out and about, I can continue to charge my iPhone. Of course, iPhone chargers, and if you're traveling internationally, then of course you need the international adapters. So I have two small ones in here. I'll be putting two larger ones in my larger suitcase. Because of course we'll have multiple things to charge each night when we get there, and that is definitely a must. So this will go in my carry-on, and then I can't see a thing on my phone or when I'm reading without my reading glasses, so I will likely have probably two pairs of these somewhere because I tend to lose them. Just ask my husband. So I'll be putting those in there safely. A few other things I'll put in here. Some gum is always helpful to me because my ears do pop a lot on flights, so I want to make sure I have that. Maybe a little bit of snacks, but you can typically pick that up at the airport. let's see, I might have a little bit of medication in there, maybe some ibuprofen in case I need that. Definitely if you have any prescription medication that you need to take on a regular basis, make sure it's on the plane with you rather than in any kind of checked bag so that you're not in a panic if you get there and your baggage is not ready for you. It's always best to keep prescription medication in the bottle that it comes in so it's clearly labeled, although you might want to ask your pharmacist for a small bottle. You don't want to take huge bottles of those and just take what you need for your trip. I think that's the bulk of what I might put in my travel bag. I might put an extra outfit in there, at least an extra shirt, just so I have a little backup in case I don't get to take my suitcase with me on the plane. But I think that covers that part. Now let's go to what actually goes in the big suitcase. So like I said, coming back, I hope this is going to be filled with lots of fun souvenirs. So one thing I take is actually another bag. This is my souvenir bag. So you can see this is huge, could hold lots of souvenirs, but yet it's very compact. So I'm going to fold this little guy up and just store it right in here so that on the return flight, I could check this bag, I could have this carry-on and still have my souvenir bag, and that's great especially if you have any delicate souvenirs that you want to keep close by and make sure are protected on the flight home. And I love that it doesn't take up too much room. So now let's get to some important things that need to go in the bag. First off, I'm going to start with shoes because of course shoes are super important. And with just about anything I pack, I like to think about both style and comfort. Shoes are really important when it comes to that. You want shoes that are comfortable, that you can walk around well in because you're going to likely be doing a lot of walking. Definitely the areas we're going to, there'll be a lot of walking each day. Sometimes we're walking on cobblestone streets, sometimes we'll be hiking up some steep hills, so I want comfortable shoes. I've worn both of these shoes on all our trips in Europe. To me, they're fairly stylish. They're not just your average tennis shoes, so I don't just look like a tourist. And then I'll have my boots as well. So I'm going to put these in here. You can see I've taken efficient use of my space and put my socks inside those shoes. So I'll get those snug away in there. Really 2 to 3 pairs of shoes total should be plenty. And now that you know what shoes you're wearing, you can make sure that you're planning outfits accordingly. I like to have at least 2 pairs of shoes because you probably don't want to wear the same pair of shoes every day. Your feet might get a little tired having the same shoe every day. The other thing that's important, don't bring a brand new pair of shoes that you haven't worn in yet. You never know with a brand new pair of shoes what kind of blisters they might cause or how they might feel after a long day. So make sure they're shoes you're really comfortable wearing. Okay, so now that we've got shoes done, let's go to pajamas. So I packed just a couple pairs of pajamas, 2, maybe 3 pairs. Kind of depends on who you're traveling with. Our in-laws my in-laws will be with us on this trip, so I'm going fairly conservative with the pajamas. But I don't want to take up too much space with those either. So I've got 2 to 3 pairs of pajamas that I can wear. I'll obviously wear those a couple times, not a big deal. So we'll put those in there. And then pants. So you notice I already have 1 pair of jeans that I'm going to be wearing on the flight, and then I've got another pair of jeans and a pair of black pants. This is probably all I'll take. At the last minute I may decide to add 1 more pair. But with pants, again, you're going to want to wear them 2 or 3 times. Get some good use out of the space you're putting in here. And you also want comfortable pants, but you also want to look nice. So I'm not taking my most faded, holey pair of jeans, but I'm also not taking a bunch of dress pants or dress clothes. We are not planning on any super fancy excursions. We're not going to any weddings or any big performances. So I really don't need to take up space with fancy clothing or shoes and that kind of thing. So these really will do nicely. I also don't want to take those pair of jeans that are a little bit too tight that I'm hoping I'll fit into one day because I want to be comfortable on this trip. And these are things that I feel comfortable in and feel happy with how I look. Again, I think style is important when you travel, as is comfort. You're probably going to be taking a lot of photographs. I'm going to be doing videos, so I want to look nice in those videos and those photographs. So keep that in mind as well as you're packing. Next, of course, I need tops. So while I will wear my pants a couple times each, tops I try to bring about as many tops as I have days there. So I've got mostly long sleeve shirts, Most of these are fairly light. Layering is always a good idea. So I don't want to bring things that are too heavy since it will get up in the 60s on some of our days. So I've got several nice tops. I tend to like to wear tank tops under some of my shirts, so I've got each of those packed that coordinate with these. I'll sandwich those in there well. I've got some of those, and then I did decide to bring just a couple. I have 2 short sleeve shirts in case it does get really warm, since we know the weather is going to be pretty nice. Again, I will be looking at the weather forecast just a few days before our trip. There may be a few things in here I decide to take out because I really don't need, or there may be a few things I decide to add in. We'll just kind of wait and see, but at least I'll have the bulk of my packing done. And then I do have one kind of nice top. Something that definitely travels well. This isn't going to wrinkle, but if I feel like getting just a little bit more dressed up when we go out to dinner in Lucerne or something like that, then I can throw on this slightly nicer top. But I'm really not taking too much in the way of fancy clothing other than that. Okay, so you can see our bag is starting to fill up a little bit here. Next, I do have just a few jackets and things. Like I said, layers are pretty important, so this is just a cardigan that I really like that really kind of goes with everything. So if I feel I need another layer of comfort and warmth, I'll put that in there. And then a second jacket. Again, this jacket can be great for layering. It is a jacket, but can also be pretty stylish with some of the outfits I brought. Again, last minute I might go through and decide, you know what, it's gonna be warmer than we thought. I might not need as much of this. So we'll put that in there. And then I always like to buy something new that I bring just for my trip. And so at LMA's, a local boutique here in town, I just picked up this super cute vest. I thought this just screamed European traveler. So I picked that up and I'm excited to wear that. And really it goes with several of the outfits I brought. So I'm excited to wear that. And that is another great option for layering. So we're getting pretty full here, so in the end I might decide to take a few things out here. Another thing that I've recently learned about is packing cubes. So these I just picked up at the AAA Travel Expo, and so I'm trying these out for the first time. And here I've got my undergarments, so I have about 6 or 7 pairs of underwear, and then I've got my bras in there. And if you'll notice, I packed my undergarments over here with my airplane outfit because I wanted to know what color bra I was going to be wearing, so that I could pack. I've got a white one here, I've got a black one in here. So 2 to 3 bras should be plenty, and I want to make sure, of course, I have the right colors. So we've got those in there. This will be my toiletries kit. Of course, toiletries are pretty important, but again, I encourage you, just like with your purse, start with an empty toiletry kit. Don't pack and bring everything, pack the things that you know you're going to need. So this is still a bit of a work in progress, but of course, I'll need a toothbrush and toothpaste. You need to be really careful about the sizes of any liquids you bring. So if you're not too picky, I'm not too picky about some of these things. I've just got some fairly high quality shampoo and conditioner that I picked up at a hotel we stayed at recently. You can of course take your regular brand of shampoo and conditioner by buying, I think they have to be 3 ounces or less, little fillable bottles. Fill those up with your traditional brand of shampoo and conditioner and hairspray and those kind of things. Traveling light isn't about not having any of the basic necessities you usually need. It's just about being smart and intentional about what you do pack. So we've got those in there. Probably the most important thing that I need to bring that other people might not care about is my curling iron. That's my comfort item, how I make sure that I look as good as I can each day. I don't worry about a hair dryer. Most places are going to have that. I can do without that if I need to, but this is definitely a security item for me. And then last but not least, I have a packing cube here with some accessories. I'll probably put just a few necklaces, jewelry, different things in there. And these are 2 scarves I have. Super excited about this new scarf I have, which I got for Christmas, which is a, let me show you here, it is a hidden pocket scarf. So in this scarf is a little zipper where I can hide some things. So if I decide to go out for the day and don't want to carry my purse or just need to put some extra things, I can have those things right around my neck and look stylish at the same time. So I'm excited to use that and be hands-free. So I'll put that in my packing cube. And again, I think I'll be able to zip this up pretty well once I squish things down just a bit. And At the end of the day, if I feel like it's a little too full, I might go through and decide there's a few things that I don't need. And that is quite all right. But usually, if you get it in there, you can compress down a little bit and make sure that it all fits pretty well. And again, I want to do this without the expandable pieces open so that it is as compact as it can be. Then I have just a little bag of a few extras. These are some things that don't take up much room at all, but you just might need in a pinch. Some Band-Aids, of course, are important to have. Some hand wipes. I've got a few single-use ibuprofen little packets in there, and then probably half a dozen or more Ziploc bags. They don't take up any space at all, but you never know when you might need a Ziploc bag if you have something wet to transport or even food. You might have leftovers. You're not going to have Tupperware, but you could take a little something in this Ziploc bag and have it ready for wherever you're jetting off to. So I'm just going to slide that in here. And other than that, really anything that you need on your trip, you can probably buy while you're over there. So try not to take too much more than you know you're going to need so that you can easily transport and move these things. So I think I might go through this bag before I leave, maybe take out 1 or 2 tops. I think I could probably do with just a few less things in here and have this just a little bit more compact. And of course, when I look at the weather forecast just 2 days before our trip, I'll know even better if I need those short sleeve shirts or not, or maybe a few less of the long sleeve shirts. So that is pretty much how I pack. And I'm pretty excited that we're less than 2 weeks away from our trip. We're super excited about it, and I'm at least 90% of the way packed. So I've got the hard part out of the way. Now we can just finish our travel itinerary and just be really excited as we count down the days to our European adventure. So if you have any questions or other tips, I'd love to hear your tips on packing for a week in Europe. Of course, if we were taking a road trip in the United States, this would be a whole different video because in that instance, I do tend to pack quite a bit. I figure you've got your car, you might as well pack it to the gills with all the things you might need. So I take a pretty different approach when we go on road trips. So maybe a later video will cover that. But for now, I'm ready to head off to Europe very soon. So again, follow my social media channels and you'll get to see a glimpse of exactly what we're doing in Europe. And after our trip, you will see definitely several blog posts about our exciting adventure. So that's it for now from Traveling Tanya. Thanks so much and have a great trip.